walkover. I really do. I think Cousins has a nice game. I really do. Plus, they're playing in Minnesota.
True.
So it'll be interesting. You think close? I think that the Vikings have it their way against the Broncos up in the cold climate, even though it's not the cold outdoors like it used to be once upon a time at Metropolitan Stadium. So with that said, this is one of the games I'm really interested in. About New Orleans Saints against Tampa Bay Bucks. Just so you know, Jimmy Garoppolo and Jameis Winston were auditioning for my quarterback spot that I can't use Aaron Rodgers, and maybe, who knows if I'll use Aaron Rodgers anymore since they've discovered a running game. So I ended up picking up Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I've had Jameis Winston as a starter in a 14-team league all season. He's, for the most part, proves pretty well. My team is 7-2 in that league. I've had him paired up with Chris Godwin all season. Had Dalvin Cook as my starting running back. So that's been a pretty good team so far this year. And having Winston provide some of the games that he has really helped. Overall, I think that the Buccaneers could struggle in this game. The Saints defense really has played very, very well outside of last week. And the Buccaneers defense overall just gives up so many points to the quarterback and to the wide receiver. I think that Michael Thomas just has another outstanding game this week. So really for me, I think that the Saints win this. It could be high scoring. I think that the Saints still come out on top. I'm going to go on this one probably, I'm going to say 42-28. Saints over the Buccaneers, even though it's in Tampa Bay. And obviously you're going to start Breeze. I think Kamara is more of a running back too this week because of the matchup. You're going to start Thomas. As far as the Buccaneers, Winston I still think is good enough to be a streamable option for this week. And Evans and Godwin you're going to start. Other than that, those are really the only fantasy options I see for this week in those games.
Well, the last time these two teams played, I believe it was 31-24, right? In favor of...
Something like that, yeah.
Right, so I have a feeling that I'll go 35-25, 10-point win for the Saints. But in the ballpark, these two teams definitely put up a lot of yards. I actually like to pick up the Winston. In the league I've been in, I've had Stafford and Rodgers, and in 4 of those games that I've had, these two quarterbacks were under 15 points, which is laughable for with Stafford and Rodgers. I'm looking for anything I can to do to get some respectable numbers out of a position where you expect an awful lot out of.
Yeah.
But I'll get the Saints to win, and both teams will score a lot of points. We'll see what the differential is. But they play each other tough. These two teams, they really, really do. So let's go on to the New York Jets and the Washington Redskins. Obviously, we know now that Dwayne Haskins is going to be playing the rest of the year. What are your thoughts on this one?
In this game, I think that let me pull up the right page notes. There we go. I think that the Jets come out on top. The Redskins just still aren't very good. Haskins has looked like a deer in the headlights for most of the season. The Jets defense does give up a lot to wide receivers and to quarterbacks, but I still don't trust Haskins. So for now, I don't think that he is fantasy relevant. I have trouble trusting Terry McLaurin as a wide receiver with Haskins as the quarterback. So I think that McLaurin is a flex play max in 12-team leagues and larger. And really, he's the only one I want in terms of fantasy for this week from the Redskins. I think that Le'Veon Bell has a decent game, and I really like Jamison Crowder for this week. I think those are the two guys I really like for fantasy this week. Bell, I think, can put up low-end running back 1 numbers, and Crowder, I think, is an easy wide receiver 3, if not wide receiver 2. So I think that the Jets win this one. Probably not all that high scoring, just because both these teams haven't really shown a whole lot all year. So I'm going to go I'll go 21-17 Jets over the Redskins.
Yeah, I actually thought 2017 with the Jets. You were right there. I'd like to see Haskins do well for no other reason. The Redskins don't have egg on their face, but, it's because nobody really wanted the guy. Yet I think he is a talent, but is he ready to play right away? I don't know. And
I think with only 1 year starting at Ohio State, no, he wasn't ready.
Yeah, he wasn't. Well, I mean, like Mitch Trubisky, they only had, 1 year in North Carolina, too.
Correct.
But the only difference between the two is one guy had a better team around him than the other. Washington's just a dysfunctional mess. And who knows, maybe Bill Callahan will keep the job full time if the Redskins can't find themselves a puppet. You never know. Because that's what it's going to take is a puppet to work with Dan Snyder. All right, Arizona Cardinals against the San Francisco 49ers.
I think the 49ers come back after getting beat by the Seahawks in Monday Night Football this last week. I think that Garoppolo works through some things. Breida, I don't know if he's actually going to be available for this game. He's dealing with an ankle injury. They're kind of calling him day-to-day. Sanders, we're still waiting to see how his rib injury is going. I expect him to miss this week, and it'd be the Deebo Samuel, Dante Pettis, and Marquise Goodwin show as far as the wide receivers go. And George Kittle has already been ruled out for this weekend. So it's going to be Ross Dwelly at tight end. The Cardinals are so hellaciously terrible at defending tight ends that I think that Ross Dwelly is one of the top streamers at tight end this week. He's still only owned in like 10% of Yahoo leagues, so I think that he should be a solid play at tight end for those of you who need a tight end dealing with injury or whatever. So I think Garoppolo is going to be solid. I think that he's a streamable quarterback for this week. Coleman is obviously going to be a must start. And Dwelly, I think, is a streaming option. As far as the Cardinals go, the only position I really like is Kyler Murray because of how well he moves around. We saw 2 weeks ago how well he was able to work against that 49ers defense because of his ability to move. And then we saw how well that Russell Wilson was able to do the same last week. And so I think that Murray still provides those challenges and could provide a decent amount of fantasy points this week. As far as anyone else, I have a hard time trusting anyone else on that Cardinals offense just because I don't know who's going to get the ball. I think Drake could be a running back too. David Johnson seems to be getting benched and, trying to deal with that. The 49ers defense, I think, is solid enough to hold down Christian Kirk and Fitzgerald. That Kirk, I think, is a wide receiver 3 at most this week. And so I think the 49ers win this one. It could be close again, but I still think the 49ers overall take care of business. I'm going to say 24-21 49ers.
Yeah, I'll actually go 27-20 the 49ers. Believe it or not, I have the Ravens defense and the 49ers defense. I have to go with the 49ers defense because I just think Deshaun Watson has just too many weapons. If I had to, and my insurance policy at tight end happened to be Greg Olsen, and that didn't work out too bad last week. So I'm glad I was able to get him. I got rid of Emmanuel Sanders just to bring on Jameis Winston because I had to have 2 quarterbacks, and because Sanders got hurt, I would have, if he didn't, I would have had to have gotten rid of one of those 2 defense. But with the depth I have at the wide receiver position, it was Sanders that went, and then I was able to get Winston. So I'm going to go with the 49ers too. 49ers and the Ravens are both not going to have the best defensive fantasy weeks, but I think the 49ers do better. And they'll be angry after what happened to them against the Seahawks. So I think their defense rallies, that's for sure. 27-20. Now, Cincinnati against Oakland.
Yeah, this is kind of an ugly game, to be completely honest. Both these defenses are terrible. What helps is that the Raiders' offense is somewhat functional. So the Bengals are not dealing with a rookie quarterback who isn't very good yet. Just doesn't have the snaps, and we're kind of seeing whether or not he can actually do it in the NFL. Mixon's been terrible all season.
Yeah.
There's been a real lack of consistency from the wide receivers for the Bengals. So I think that the Raiders' defense has been coming on a little bit over the last couple weeks. They still give up a ton of points, really, to all positions, but they've been doing better over the last couple weeks, and show that they can really stop up what should be a high-powered team in the Chargers. So I really don't like any of the options from the Bengals for fantasy. I think Derek Carr is a streamable option this week against a terrible Bengals defense. Jacobs is a top 5 running back, in my opinion, for this week. And I think that Williams and Renfro is a solid streamable option in 14-team leagues and higher. And Waller, he's a top 10 tight end every week. So really the Raiders should come away with this one. It shouldn't be much of a contest. I'm going to say 28-10 Raiders over the Bengals.
I'm going 35-14 for the Raiders. I think Jacobs, to me, what a great young running back. Here's a team that walked in there to the season thinking that Antonio Brown was going to make a difference. And now you have a young running back like this who's definitely turned out to be a higher echelon guy. So, and I'm going to say that the Oakland Raiders are looking to leave Oakland on a high note, and they're getting that this will be a step closer to a high note, while for the Bengals, they're a step closer to 0-16. So the Raiders easily.
Yep, agreed.
In a game that I saw many years ago, Super Bowl 39 out in Jacksonville, this matchup, New England against Philadelphia, there is no Terrell Owens sighting. Okay, there is no Donovan McNabb. But there is a Tom Brady. Okay, but the game is at Philadelphia, the Patriots against the Eagles.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about how the Eagles just have not gotten over that loss to the Patriots have not gotten over the loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And my opinion on that is, shut up. You've won 6 of them.
Yeah, right.
You got beat by not playing defense that game. So get over it.
Right.
I have no sympathy for Patriots or Patriots fans whatsoever. They can whine and cry all they want, and I'm not going to listen to it. So, but as far as this game goes, the Patriots defense has just been so overwhelmingly good. Now they showed some cracks this last week against Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. I mean, let's face it, Lamar Jackson is an absolute stud and is putting up or a couple weeks ago, and Lamar Jackson is just putting up phenomenal numbers overall on everyone. So,
right.
The Patriots are top 3 in defense against quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. So I think that they could be really suffocating with a week off. Coming off the bye week, they could be really tough against the Eagles. I don't really Ertz is a top 10 tight end. You're going to start him if you have him. Other than that, I don't really like any other options for the Eagles in fantasy. As far as the Patriots go, you're going to start Brady. I think that Edelman could put up wide receiver 1 numbers. As far as the running backs go, I'm a bigger fan of White simply because of his receiving ability. I think he gets more involved in this game than Sonny Michel does. So those are kind of my picks in terms of fantasy. I think the Patriots win this one. Eagles may make it interesting, but I still think that the Patriots, with the week off, are the superior team. So I am going to go Patriots 24-17.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots too. I like 30-20-3. I do. I think White is a fine. I took once you told me about don't trust any Patriot players, I got rid of them all. And I always liked White in the past, but but Belichick does use everybody, so I couldn't agree with you more. I'm going to go with the Patriots 28-20.
Okay.
I am. Now Sunday night, the Rams hosting the Bears.
Yeah, the Rams are driving me crazy, to be completely honest. As a Cooper Kupp owner, seeing how bad Jared Goff has played over the last few weeks has just been awful. His numbers over the last 16 games are worse than Mitchell Trubisky's numbers over the last 16 games. That should tell you how bad Jared Goff is playing right now. So it's a good matchup for Todd Gurley because the Chicago defense has had trouble against the run. So I think that Gurley could be a solid play for this week. You're still going to start Cooper Kupp. He has, for the most part, been the safety blanket for Jared Goff this year. I think that he should be still an okay play. As far as the Bears go, the Rams defense has played very solid overall over the last few weeks. I think that Montgomery is the best option at running back. I don't want anything to do with Trubisky. I think Allen Robinson could be okay, could provide flex-worthy numbers in 12-team leagues or larger. So overall,